Welcome back to True News. Today we got a selection of news stories for you lot. Because according to this list, I am number 3 on the UK's citizen journalist YouTube channels. I'm actually a journalist. I didn't study, but here we are. And the top 2 are Piers Morgan and Russell Brand, and they're older than me quite a bit. So who's the real winner? And we'll be talking Donald Trump's fallout with Keir Starmer. Britney Spears has been arrested for driving under the influence. Sad. Not surprised, but sad. We've got another update on the Epstein files. Also, Candace Owens. Can she get any worse? Yeah, she can. We're also going to talk about the death of the notorious child killer Ian Huntley, one of the UK's most hated men of all time. And as if that wasn't enough, there's also news on Wayne Rooney's marriage on the rocks again. Again, not surprised. But some sad news as well. A gangster who I once interviewed recently passed away. I want to talk about that a little bit. And also, kind of want to branch out on this show and add in a little bit of other kind of news, which is gaming news. There's a big game coming out next week. I know a lot of you gamers know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll touch on that right at the end. But before we get into all of that, we have a message from the amazing sponsors of the show. Do you want to have the same wallet as your favorite YouTuber? I mean me, by the way. At least I hope I'm your favorite YouTuber. Well, thanks to Extra, now you can. I think I got this about 6 months ago. Best decision I've ever made. Well, I mean, I've made some good. You get the point, right? It's a good decision because the wallet I had before this, it was literally like a DVD case. What was I doing? You'd see it in my jeans, and I don't know what people were thinking was going on down there, but it was just a wallet. If you happen to see us, people probably thought it was a Big Mac. I was so fat. But now that I'm slim, I want my wallet to be slim as well, and I want it to be Italian leather, and I want it to be very handy. And let me show you just how handy this bad boy is. You ready? You ready? You ready? Oh, one click of a button, all your cards pop out like that. I've put fake cards in because I don't want you actually seeing my cards, just to be clear. So yeah, I've lost 6 stone, and a stone of that was just to downsize in the wallet. And you can open it up like that. You can pop your cash in here after you pay. What? Just my Italian leather wallet from Extra. What? You seeing it? Yeah, you noticed it. I'll show off a little on a day. I can't lie. I want them to see it and go, he knows what he's doing. And the best bit about this bad boy right now is it is 45% off. And that's not all. Because when you use my code Geordie, you can get an extra 20% off on top of that. That's Geordie, all block capitals, all one word, Geordie. Click my link in the description below, bang the code in. And the best bit about it is if you aren't happy with it afterwards, which is literally impossible in my opinion, they've got a 100-day money-back guarantee. But don't worry about that because when you get your hands on this bad boy, you are going to be chuffed with your order. And you're never going to go back to those ridiculous bulky wallets that I used to be piss farting around with. Bloody Big Mac in my pocket, for God's sakes. So a big thanks to Extra for sponsoring this video and for giving me the best wallet of my life. Enjoy the wallet when you get one. Hit us up in the DMs. Let us know how you're enjoying it. But for now, enjoy the video. And these are the scenes as America and Israel drop bombs on Iran. I mean, fucking hell. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life in person. Apparently that was an Iranian oil depot that was bombed by the US. And this is a really interesting situation because Donald Trump famously in the past has been very anti-war. His first term as president, there was no new wars and he campaigned on it. I'm not going to start a war. In fact, I'm going to stop wars. Turns out he lied. I mean, he's a politician. Is anyone surprised? And there was no real trigger moment to start this war, which is kind of why I'm kind of been caught off guard by this. Yes, there are things about Iran that have been pissing America off for a long time, it seems, but they've never done this before. And look, the official reason is they want to stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons. That old chestnut. Yeah, it worked with Iraq. It's preemptive self-defense is the way they describe it. You know, we're going to get onto you in case you attack us. Now, I looked online just to see what people's other theories were, you know, what the real reason was. Some people seem to think that it's a way of moving on the news from the Epstein stuff, which, I mean, I think it's a bit of a stretch, in my opinion. A lot of people seem to think that this is just to help Israel because Donald Trump is just so in bed with Israel. You know, by doing this, America basically smash one of the biggest enemies of Israel. But it's a bit of a weird one, this, because when I was looking into this online, I was surprised to see how many Iranians were online being very vocal about the fact that they support Donald Trump in attacking Iran. And I think that gives you a bit of an indicator in how insane the Iranian government have been towards their own people. Namely this guy, the Ayatollah, who was pretty evil, horrible dictator by the sounds of it. I mean, he was compared to Hitler, which in England means nothing, but I think in the Middle East it actually does stand for something. He's been blown to smithereens, and it sounds like he did some pretty bad shit. Like, he allowed like very young girls to get married and basically legalized them being raped. And like female protesters and prisoners were also allowed to be like gang raped as a punishment. I read that guards told them it was to break them in, which is like, what the fuck am I even reading here? And when some of these girls would like protest, if they were like a virgin, for example, they'd be sentenced to death. But before dying, they would be raped so that it would almost take their innocence and virginity to mean that they wouldn't go to like heaven and stuff like that. I mean, fuck me. And when like people tried to protest in their thousands, they just shot them. 30 to 40,000 not long ago, I think it was this year, were just shot en masse. And that's before you get into the beatings, the torture, the false confessions, and the executions. It sounds like a fucking lunatic asylum, this place. And there was no democracy. There was fake elections where you could only vote for people that this geezer had basically said, oh, you can vote for them though. And that's when I was like, yeah, like people wouldn't want their own country bombed unless it was really bad. And that is what I've been seeing from loads of Iranian people online being like, well, think about it. Why would we agree with Donald Trump doing this unless we fucking hated this guy and we were terrified for the people in our families who were still trapped in there? And I'm not saying Donald Trump is doing it for those reasons, by the way, before you get in the comments. Like, politicians always act on behalf of their own interests, their own countries. I get it. But there was just so many socials like this one. I've seen like 100 of these minimum, like people rejoicing in the freedom that they now have and wanting that for their family who are still in Iran, for example. And for a guy from England like me, what the fuck do I know about what it's like to live in Iran? It gave me a taste, it gave me an insight into just the way these people were feeling. And maybe my sample size is wrong, I don't know. But it was pretty powerful what these people were saying. And naturally, because Donald Trump is behind these attacks on Iran, the left are immediately going, well, this is horrendous, this is terrible, and bashing him for it. But this is the weird thing, is these Iranian people are like, you look and shut the fuck up.
But of course that joy is being dampened by the voices of the untouched Western left, who have never had the experience of totalitarianism or tyranny, decide to speak up for the first time to say stop killing kids. You know, you have to just imagine what kind of an insult it is to us, the Iranian community, that not just for the past 2 months, but for the past years, we've been asking them to please speak up as this terrorist regime has been killing kids.
Which is why this attack on Iran by America and Israel has been sort of described like chemotherapy by some of the people I've listened to. Yeah, this is going to be really painful, but if it gets rid of them in the long run, it could be worth it. And it seems like Trump is very confident that this is only going one way.
Their leaders are gone. 2 sets of their leaders are gone. They're down to their 3rd set. Their air force is wiped out entirely. Think of it. They have 32 ships. All 32 are at the bottom of the ocean. Other than that, they're doing very well, Coach.
Now, I don't want to come on here and act like there ain't like bad things going on, because apparently there's a girls' school being blown up in Iran. And I mean, that just fucking touched me immediately.
A girls' school in the southern town of Minab destroyed on Saturday morning, more than 170 people dead. The vast majority young girls killed in their classrooms. Their bodies pulled from the rubble, lined up in a morgue for agonized parents to identify.
I mean, fucking hell, man. That's just heartbreaking. And look, we don't know who's responsible for that, unfortunately. When you've got a regime in Iran who are willing to turn the guns on their own people, there's no telling what they would do. But there's also people who are saying that this was a US-Israeli airstrike that caused this.
Did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 175 people?
My opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hickson? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
Trump's right-hand man there goes, well, we don't target civilians. Well, yeah, but like mistakes happen. And apparently that's what CNN are claiming has happened.
A new satellite image shows an Iranian Revolutionary Guards base and an elementary school in southern Iran.
So you can see there where the guards would have been, and then right next to it there's the school. So almost like, not saying it's an easy mistake to make, because I think if you're going to fucking blow buildings up, you should have a fucking good idea of what's going on in them. But the idea that this was just an accidental target when they're right next to the Guards bases, why would Iran do that? Maybe they would. But if America and Israel are behind that, they should hold their fucking hands up, because that's shameful. That's as bad as it gets. Hundreds of little girls dead. I don't care where you are in the world. It's not acceptable. And if Trump's found to be lying about this, saying it wasn't us, I think he deserves all the fucking criticism he gets, to be honest with you, because that's fucking horrendous, that. And as I said at the start of the episode, Keir Starmer and Donald Trump have fallen out over this, because Donald Trump basically, in order to send his Air Force that far away, drop bombs, then come back, they need places to refuel, and that was where he asked Britain, could you help us out here? It's not like they were asking Britain to come and drop the bombs or anything like that. They just wanted a place to refuel, and Keir Starmer basically said to Trump, go and fuck yourself. But without the balls, basically. He didn't even say it with chest.
What I was not prepared to do on Saturday was for the UK to join a war unless I was satisfied there was a lawful basis and a viable, thought-through plan. That remains my position.
To say there wasn't a thought-through plan when America are just wiping Iran out at light speed right now, I think the plan was pretty thought through, you know? He just didn't want to get involved. And I'm not even saying he's wrong on that, but at least be real. At least be honest. Now, as you can imagine, Trump wasn't impressed.
By the way, I'm not happy with the UK either. That island that you read about, the lease, okay, he made it for whatever reason, he made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him. And it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
He's got away with words, because he's literally holding Keir Starmer up there and going, you're not Winston Churchill here, you're a fucking fraud. And Trump then put a post out saying, the United Kingdom, our once great ally, maybe the greatest of them all, is finally giving serious thought to sending 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East. That's okay. Prime Minister Starmer, we don't need them any longer. But we will remember. We don't need people that join wars after we've already won. I needed you before. I don't fucking want you now. You've made your position clear. You've fucked around. You've been indecisive. You haven't shown leadership. You haven't shown that you're there when we really need you. So what the fuck are you coming back to me now for, mate? And this is the problem. Indecision is decision. And it's that lack of leadership that Keir Starmer has thrown throughout his time in Parliament, constantly going back on decisions and rethinking things. It's been a problem for him since he took charge. And look, one of the reasons that Trump is suggesting for that indecision is that Keir Starmer is pandering towards Muslim voters, and that is the reason he didn't feel confident in order to stand shoulder to shoulder with Donald Trump. And it's so ironic because Starmer that very day was actually giving a speech to Muslim voters, and obviously he's trying to get the vote, and he wanted to make an absolute point of it to say, by the way, this is Trump, I'm not involved in this isn't me.
But on Iran, I want to make clear the UK was not involved in the offensive strikes of the US and Israel, and that remains the case.
And look, in some people's eyes, that proved Donald Trump's point. Now, whether you agree with that or disagree with that really is irrelevant to me. The actual point, though, is that Starmer has fucked our relationship with America, well and truly. And this is a relationship that spans over 80 years. Like, we have stood shoulder to shoulder with them. They're like our big brother. We fought together. We trade together. We support each other across the board on everything. If Keir Starmer ruins this relationship, which he's well on his way to doing by the looks of it, it's probably his biggest fuck up. And you know how Trump is. He's vengeful, right? He doesn't like take things like this and goes, right, well, I'll let you off then. He actually will take it out on you financially. Meaning the taxpayer will probably be the one to take the fucking brunt. When you consider the amount of things we get from America, it's just something we need to think about. But for Starmer, securing votes is always the most important thing because that man is lost at sea right now. He has fucked on that next election and we all know it. And Trump's put a post out about the situation going on in the Middle East saying that the other countries around Iran have actually sent him a message thanking him. To which he replied, You're welcome. Iran is no longer the bully of the Middle East. They are instead the loser of the Middle East in block capitals. He writes things like that the way I write after a Newcastle match. It's the same level of anger. Naturally, this is about regime change. It's about installing people who are going to play ball, who are going to do what America says. And Trump actually seems to think that we're going to struggle to find anyone left because we're killing that many people.
Most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports. So I guess you have a third wave coming in. Pretty soon we're not going to know anybody.
Fucking hell, man. Obviously, when you hear, like, the civilians have been killed, it's fucking horrible and you hate to hear that. But the way he just casually was like, well, they're dead. And then the second lot, they're also dead. The third lot, I don't even know if we know them. They'll probably be dead soon. And look, he's a fucking savage. And you know what? Someone else who's a savage is Britney Spears. Good segue. Wednesday night, Britney decided, you know what? I'm feeling a little high. I'm feeling a little drunk. Let me just take my BMW for a ride. Apparently, she was doing high speed on the Broadway, swerving in and out of lanes. See me rolling. They hate it. She failed the sobriety test. She was arrested for driving under the influence on alcohol and drugs. And apparently, they found drugs in the car as well. She was actually taken to hospital afterwards. And her people, you know how they all have people, called it an unfortunate incident. Unfortunate is like, well, she was unlucky to get caught. Unfortunate isn't, she's constantly off her face online and now she's off her face behind the wheel. That actually lines up with everything we've come to know Britney for. It's been a long time since we went, Britney got a new record out. Brilliant. Have you heard it? No. It's, have you seen her dancing with knives? Who would have thought Britney would have had a problem with substance abuse when she dances with fucking knives while our little poochers watch on, for fuck's sake? I mean, what are you doing, love? And look, this is the Britney that we all sort of met years and years ago. Do you know what I mean? She was a picture of health, right? She was a superstar. And yeah, she dabbled a bit. Of course, they all did. Lindsay Lohan, Christina Aguilera, they all went south a bit. I mean, this is Lindsay Lohan now, right? She hit rock bottom. She's looking fantastic now. You've got to clean your act up, love. If not for you, for your kids. And the saddest thing is she actually lost custody of her kids like really early on. Like I think they were like 2 or 3 years old and they went to live with Kevin Federline, who was our backing dancer who she ended up shagging. Do you know how bad of a mother you've got to be to lose custody to a dad? You've got to be horrendous. Men have no rights. If you're a celebrity with a whole bunch of money to pay lawyers and you still lose custody, what the fuck? She's got long periods of her life not even seeing her children. And apparently they were even terrified to stay with her for periods of that time because apparently she'd be like standing in the doorway holding knives and stuff like that. Like, she's not right in the head. The father of her children is accusing her of punching them when they're like 10, 11 years old, like punching them in the face. He also said that she allegedly used cocaine while breastfeeding them. How can you be a Britney Spears fan after this? How, like, I mean, people can still listen to Michael Jackson, to be fair, but like, fucking hell. Imagine you're just trying to latch the baby on and the baby's fucking off its tits. That's no good to no one. Apart from the baby, maybe it's a good high. But I wouldn't want that. Do you know what I mean? And look, apparently when her kids got a little bit older, they found her stash of pills and like took them and ended up having to go to hospital because of it. She's a fucking useless mother. And I don't care how many hits you had. If you're a shit mother, you're just shit in my book. And as if that wasn't bad enough being her kid, then when you finally grow up and you're like, oh, fuck me, thank God we made it through that. You've then got to watch the crazy bitch do this online. I've slagged her off a lot, but you have to admit, like, she'd be a mental shag. On the one hand, she'd ride you into oblivion, and on the other hand, you'd be thinking she's going to stab me any second now. But that would make it exciting. Now on to the Epstein files, and we obviously remember how often the Clintons were mentioned, and especially Bill, who seemed to have a jolly old time with his old mate Jeffrey. Well, former President Bill and his wife Hillary tried everything they could to get out of having to testify on what they knew, being sworn under oath, but they couldn't run any longer, and finally we've been questioning them.
Donald Trump has been held civilly liable for sexual assault by a jury of his peers. 9 members of a jury found him liable in the sexual assault of E. Jean Carroll. That is behavior. That fits a pattern if one were looking for a pattern. He has also been convicted on 34 felony counts for attempting to hide his relationship with a escort.
So she's trying to basically throw Donald Trump under the bus and be like, Donald Trump is the guy you're looking for. It's not my husband, Bill. It's Donald Trump. And by the way, she'd rehearsed that because she had that ready and waiting in terms of how many people had convicted him, who he was convicted for. All of that was rehearsed. The problem is, if you are going to go in there and throw someone under the bus, make sure that if your husband's also coming in, you've got your story straight.
He never, the president never, this is 20-something years ago, never said anything to me to make me think he was involved in anything improper with regard to Epstein either.
I just think it's so funny that they're husband and wife, and yet she is telling them, you got to investigate Trump, and he's going, nah, he's innocent. Don't even look. He's never said anything. And look, things got really uncomfortable because you'll remember in the emails, we've went through them on the channel before, there was an email that said, Bill Clinton likes them young.
Epstein said, you quote, like them young. Why would Epstein say that about you?
Are you asking his opinion? You're asking him to think about why Mr. Epstein would say something about him.
Why would Epstein say that about
she's asking
President?
you to try to be in Mr. Epstein's mind and guess at what Mr. Epstein would have thought about.
Clinton likes them young, referring to girls.
First of all, that's not true.
As denials go, that was a 1 out of 10 at best. And I wouldn't care, his lawyer did everything she could to delay and stall me. Like, so what she's asking is, she's trying to give him as much time as possible to compose himself. It didn't work.
What's not true?
That I have any interest in underage.
I didn't say underage. I said young.
But it's still not true.
I mean, when he was 49 and president, he fucked a 22-year-old who worked at the White House. That's nearly a 30-year age gap. I think that's fair to say he likes them younger.
Is an intern young?
Yes.
Okay.
At my age, anybody younger than I am.
Did you know Jeffrey Epstein instructed a witness to deny you were ever on his island?
Dude is shaking like a fucking leaf.
Do you think a young girl massaging a president is unusual?
There's a picture of him getting a massage, I think, on a plane or with Epstein, basically.
Young woman, I'm asking if he thinks it's unusual that a president, sitting president of the United States, leader of the free world, that
So
it's
I'm
unusual.
sorry, are you speaking to, are you talking to the instance of the
Yes, is it unusual that
the
a
back
young woman would be
massage
massaging?
that occurred while he was not president? I'm just trying to understand. You said a president of the United States.
This attorney is doing everything she can to help him out yet. You're not helping. Now, as if that wasn't awkward enough, they then asked Hillary, were you okay with the fact that Bill was getting like massaged by these young women around Epstein? Like, what the fuck went on there? Did you have a word with him?
So what I'm asking you is, did any questions regarding those photographs come to your mind?
I am going to just as clearly as I can state, say I don't see the relevance of your question, and I am not going to talk about conversations that I had with my family, especially my husband.
Yeah, she's not going to answer the question because she knows it's fucking weird, man. And look, Hillary really started to lose her shit in being questioned here multiple times.
This was what I spent my time doing.
I'm a survivor trying to look out for other survivors, trying to...
And I was taking care of the people who lost 3,000 lives.
Hillary didn't really take things so well. And speaking of people who aren't taking things so well, we do have to unfortunately mention Candace Owens, who still just can't quite get over the fact that Charlie Kirk wanted to marry Erica Kirk and not her.
Tell me, what happens? What happened with Turning Point USA? You just knew, got lucky, we're on pilgrimage, I guess, and there Charlie was at the airport in Israel. You saw him. Your mom said, go up to him. She's a pusher, right? Lori's a pusher. I always thought it was so strange how you never mentioned that I was at the airport with Charlie. Just thought that was so weird. You never said that. Yeah, I saw Charlie with Candace because we were actually together for that trip.
And you can just see how pissed off this girl is. And she's still making videos about Erica Kirk. What the fuck is going on here? She's done this whole Bride of Charlie series, which, like, I think at first people were like excited because they're like, she's really going to get her now. She's really going to cook her now. 5 million views, 3 million views, 2 million views, 2 million, 1 million, 1 million. She's always going to get big views because she's got a massive audience who kind of are, I think they just love how crazy she is, and you just never know what fucked up shit she's going to come out with next. But the reality is, just like the hidden penis with the French guy, or who killed Charlie Kirk, it goes nowhere. None of it ever goes anywhere. And actually, I've seen a clip about her upbringing, and I've always wondered, like, how did she become such a fucking crazy psycho? The way she described her upbringing in this clip, it made some sense.
Your grandfather, you obviously love him. He's maybe is he still the most important male figure in your life?
Yeah, he's probably the only important male figure of my life, which is a strong statement to make, but that's about right.
Do you have good female figures in your life? Strong women?
No, I try to be that. I come from a very sort of broken, crazy family.
Like I heard that, like that sort of 9 of your uncles have been incarcerated. So you come from a family where the crime is part of the story.
Yeah, I mean, they're not 9 of them, but 5 of the 9 of them.
Just a 5
in prison, and that sort of trickled down. And I have cousins that have spent time in prison. And
the bottom line is, from this clip, you can see there was no solid male role models. The old granddad was kind of around, and then there was no female role models either. So like, it's no wonder she's became this kind of crazy accuser that she is, because there was no one to fucking guide her into becoming a normal human being. And what's sad is how many people take seriously the absolute shit that comes out of her mouth. I don't fucking get it.
I just want to shake her. Like, I just want to just stop. It's like she's malfunctioning or something. And you know how, like, when something's malfunctioning, you have this arbitrary idea that if you shake it, it will get better somehow. You're like, oh, this isn't working. That's how I feel. I feel like Erica isn't working. Do you know what I mean? She's not working.
Her husband was assassinated in front of the world. She's now been tasked with running a multi-million-dollar company while also raising her children without the help of their father anymore. Am I the only one who remembers this? What are you expecting her to behave like? Because I tell you what, your mate dying and you making a series investigating his widow when you claim to be such a good friend to him, that's not fucking normal. Think about this, everyone out there. If anyone who fucking supports this fucking lunatic, if your good friend had died, even if you did think that his widow, who was currently trying to raise his children without him, was a bit of a basket case or whatever, would you attack her publicly on a daily fucking basis, making hourly live streams about it? What about that is normal? Fucking psychopath. She's even accused Erica of being like a groomer of some young girl who Erica was trying to help in her early modeling career. And the mother of this girl has had to come out and be like, are you fucking crazy?
We did not live in Arizona in the mid-'80s, and there are no lawsuits against my husband. The lies continue and the fabricated stories continue so that everyone stays engaged with her content and she can make millions of dollars. And then the conversations about my daughter now that you have implied and are implicating Erica in grooming and trafficking. This photo is myself and Erica and my daughter at her birthday. And this photo is Erica and my daughter at Cheesecake Factory. And this photo is Erica and her niece. But this thread that was created out of the content that Candace actually put out was that my daughter's been groomed for 21 years by Erica. Let's do the math here. That would mean that Erica would be 15 or 16 years old and my daughter would have been 1. And I hadn't met Erica yet by that time. But nobody really wants the truth because that means that it stops all the insanity.
And you've nailed it there. And that is the key to Candace Owens' entire audience and all you fuckheads who are leaving these comments on my fucking content. You're so in love with the elaborate storytelling and the nonsensical hocus pocus that Candace conducts on you. You're in too deep now. I can't turn back and admit I've been fucking bullshitted by this crazy person. It has to be true because I've spent hours of my life believing her, and I can't possibly look in the mirror and go, you've actually been fucking made a fool out of here. Well, it's time to have a reality check and have a very honest conversation with yourself, because the mother of the fucking girl herself is saying this is a load of shit, mate. And if you even do a little bit of fact checking about the things that Candace Owens says, you can find out so easily that most of it is bullshit, and you don't even have to fact check. Just use common sense. Now moving on to these two young girls, beautiful young girls, Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, who went missing when I was a young lad. I think they were a few years younger than me at the time, and sadly were murdered by the school caretaker, Ian Huntley, this piece of shit here. Now, for a while, we didn't know where they were. We didn't know what was going on, and unfortunately, their bodies turned up. But in the process of not knowing where they were, the camera crews who were in the area actually interviewed Ian Huntley at the time.
How do we know they were here at 6:15? Well, we have an eyewitness. Ian Huntley here is a familiar figure. Evening, Ian. You're the school caretaker. The girls, Jessica and Holly, would know you, and they saw you on the front doorstep. What went on?
I don't know the girls. I was stood on the front doorstep grooming my dog down. She'd run away and come back a bit of a mess. They just came across and asked how Miss Carr was, as she used to teach them at St Andrews. I just said she weren't very good, as she hadn't got the job. And they just says, please tell her that we're very sorry. And off they walked in the direction of the library over there.
But they never walked away because he got them in the house and he murdered them. And looking back at that story, I mean, the fact that he had the cheek to get on camera, and they do, don't they, these serial killer types, they love attention, they want to act like, oh, I'm helping, and I'm pretty sure he was out looking for them at one point, this fucking crazy cunt. And the fact that he had that story about the dog needing grooming and all, it's just the little details that they add into there to make it more believable, or the things that actually, when you look back at it, go, yeah, you are adding on to it to make it more believable there. And look, he referenced Mrs. Carr, who they were taught by, who was his girlfriend at the time. This fucking bitch knew he killed them, and she gave him an alibi for it.
It's what Holly gave me on the last day of term. She was very, very upset because I didn't get my job, and that's the kind of girl she was. She was just lovely. Really lovely.
That's the kind of girl she was. Now, she obviously dropped herself in it big time there because she was referring to the girls in the past tense because she knew the truth. But she told the police that she was at home with Ian Huntley that evening that he killed the girls, when in reality, she was 200 miles away visiting family. And look, he got life in prison, but she got like a couple of years for perverting the course of justice. But then she got a whole new identity. She got to go out, have a life, apparently, meet someone, have kids, all of that shit. And I know she didn't take their lives, but it just doesn't feel enough for you to lie for that murderer of those two little girls and to just get a slap on the wrist and to go about your fucking life as if nothing ever happened. I think it's a fucking disgrace. And apparently this wasn't the first time that he'd attacked someone. Apparently he'd raped a girl who got pregnant to him, and her child, now his daughter, is speaking out about the fact that her biological father is now dead.
His ashes should just be flushed down the toilet. Don't think he's worth a funeral. Funerals are for celebrating life, and his wasn't worth celebrating.
It must be fucking mental to know that that was the biological father for that girl. Like, she must have grown up with a lot of like trauma, because it's not her fault. Like, you don't get to pick who the fuck your parent is. And actually in this interview, when they mention the young girls, she actually breaks down in tears.
Over the years, over the years, I've cried many times over the thought of Holly and Jessica and what their families have gone through. And I don't ever want Holly and Jessica's memory to be forgotten. And
it never will be. I think everyone in Britain has a special place in their heart for these two girls because they were just so perfect. And I don't know, man, it's... just even thinking about it, it's so fucking sad. And it's time these monsters who do things like that are put to death immediately. None of this fucking 20-odd years waiting. Everyone's now celebrating that. He said he should have been put to death within the week. None of this pussy shit, man. Honestly, I'm fucking sick of it. And moving on to Wayne Rooney's marital issues. Apparently, he's unforgiven by his wife, Colleen, over his latest indiscretion. And he's also suffering from addiction issues, according to this article. There's this photograph come out of Wayne caught drinking with a mystery woman after the Brit Awards. And like, I watched this Wayne Rooney documentary that came out not long ago, and it was a very good documentary. I think it was on Amazon. I felt sorry for Colleen because you can tell, like, I don't know if she's in love with this guy anymore, because I think, when you get your heart broken as much as she's had it, it's hard to stay that way. But she was very much like, kind of like Conor McGregor's wife. Like, look, I've dedicated my life to you and I'm not going anywhere. And can you just fucking treat me properly? And he even admitted, like, I've been fucking useless, basically. They've got 4 sons. They've been together 18 years. And like, he keeps apologizing to her. And I'm like, mate, fucking hell. How many apologies have you got in the fucking locker, pal? You can't just keep doing this. I understand you were young, you got famous, you fucked around. That all makes sense, and I think people can understand that. How old is this guy? Apparently she's took her wedding ring off. I'm like, well, fuck me. What's that, the 10th time now? Even she must feel like an absolute mug taking the wedding ring off this often, because it's like, it doesn't mean anything anymore. And I do wonder with Wayne, like, when you've been to the pinnacle of sport and you've had the adulation that he had, I mean, he was the wonder boy of football in England, it's hard to feel as happy as what you will ever be in your prime like that. And maybe he's coping by drinking too much. And I get part of that, but you've maxed out this credit card on your missus, yeah, mate. And like, I just think he's taking the fucking piss. When you hit 35, 36, you gotta fucking rein it in, you know what I mean? There's gotta be a level of accountability. I'm a grown man now. It's not like you're a fucking young 20-odd-year-old lad who's fucking making mistakes. Come on. And she's the mother of his children, and I think he's humiliating her at this point, and he needs to fucking sort his shit out, man. Because he doesn't really deserve another chance. If he has done this again, he doesn't deserve it at this point. He's maxed that credit card out well and truly. Now on to a former podcast guest of mine, Bobby Cummins. Ironically, he was probably the oldest guy I ever interviewed, and yet we got the most views on an episode on his episode. Over 9 million views as Bobby Cummins, from the era of the craze, the legendary London gangsters. He was all about that era. He was well involved. He admitted it. I wasn't a good guy back then. But I tell you what, he later became a much better person than the person he'd been, and he went straight, and he actually chose to turn his life around, tell the kids, don't do drugs, don't do crime. This is a mistake. He got awarded an OBE. And when the version of him I met was a gentleman. He, you know, yes, he'd been a gangster, although he would never say to you lot, I'm a gangster. He'd say, I'm a businessman. And my business was crime, which I always found funny because he was absolutely a fucking gangster. But he was a lovely person to talk to by the time I met him. And I'm not excusing anything he did, and clearly he wasn't a good person in his younger life. But a lot of people make mistakes, and he was definitely a reformed person, and I'm not excusing anything, but that was a special podcast to me. And one I'll never forget. And I left a little comment on his family page there just to let people, like, his family know, like, how much I appreciated that time, and that, like, at that time, getting an interesting person with an interesting story was really important to help me in my career. And clearly, because he got over 9 million views, he was very interesting and he was very special. And I mentioned that on the tweet when I put out, like, you know, RIP. I was like, he got 9 million views. He was a gangster and a gentleman. And I had people having a go at me online for the same, just trying to make out like all I cared about was the views he got. But all I was trying to say was how special was he, that he was like the oldest guy and yet he smashed it. Really, I'm the least caring about views guy on YouTube, in my opinion. I could do all sorts of things that would probably get more views, but I choose to do the content that I want to make. But when someone makes an impact on your channel, it's natural to go to his family, hey, he got 9 million views, look at how well he did. I'm not trying to make that about, I don't know what people think about me. People think I'm into some sort of monetary thing, that I care that he got 9 million views. And it's sad, you know, when people think you're a bad person online and they twist everything you say, and I'm like, you know, if you knew me and you sat down and talked to me, you'd actually know I'm not what you think I am. But anyway, people were saying that shit, and, you know, fair play to them. You just fucking block them and move on. But as for Bobby, he may have been a bad guy when he was a young guy, but like the person I met was so different, and he sent me a lot of nice messages and just conducted himself with class. And I remember the day of the podcast after he left just thinking, wow, that was a Joe Rogan level podcast, that. And you know what? It absolutely fucking was. That was when podcasting had some heart and soul to it. I feel like podcasting's been so gamified now. It's kind of why I got out of it, was like every podcast guest you'd have on, every other podcast would just immediately jump on the guy, and you'd see the same fucking interview, the same fucking questions, the same thumbnail 10 million times around the internet. And I realized that the only way I could stand out was to just be me, because you know what? No one can fucking do that. You know, no one can stand and look at the camera and give their honest them like I can. You know, no one can be me better than me. But back then, finding someone with a big story like that was really important, and I credit him for the way he told it. Condolences to the family. I know people will watch that podcast for many years to come. He made a mock. Now for something completely different. We're talking gaming in today's news as well. I want to branch out and do a bit of everything. And if you hate this, let me know in the comments. But I just want to be able to give you the things that I'm hearing that I'm interested in right now. And one of them is Crimson Desert.
After diving into the opening hours of this grand-scale sword and sorcery adventure, we got to see just how detailed and vast the world of Crimson Desert is in real time.
I'm such a fucking nerd, right? I love Red Dead Redemption. I love open world games. The problem with them is they take fucking 6, 7, 8, 9, 13 years or whatever it is to come out. We all know how long we've been waiting for Grand Theft Auto. And this, it looks a bit like Red Dead Redemption. It looks a bit like Zelda. And guess what? It's out next weekend, and from everything I've been saying about it, I'm not not saying it's the perfect game, but I want to play it.
One game that really came to mind during our hands-on was Red Dead Redemption 2. Despite what we've seen before about how fast you navigate the massive world, at ground level, there is a surprising focus on navigating its densely populated areas with care and attention. We spent a lot of time just wandering the back alleys, interacting with people going about their day.
Apparently, it's even bigger as a map than Red Dead Redemption, and it feels a bit like fantasy, Game of Thronesy type shit. And honestly, it's been a long time since I played an open world game like this, so I think I'm going to get it. Have you seen it? Are you going to get it? Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that's all I've got to say for today. Did you like this new style of format where I hop into different topics? Let me know in the comments below, because I just want to make you lot happy and have a good time while doing it. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to the True Geordie YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.